The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time. It's Thursday. It's Korner Booth pregame.
You ready? No debate, cause it's all. I'm too official, got the drip, I got the stores. Bring the proof when it's time to tell the truth. I'll be at the corner booth, find me in the corner booth, yeah. Still standing and defiant. Slay the competition, cause I'm walking like a giant. Bring the proof when it's time to tell the truth. I'll be at the corner booth, find me in the corner booth, corner booth.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time. I hate my laptop. I do. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Don't know what's happening right now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Korner Booth pregame. I'm your host, Jerry Klim, having more technical difficulties than I know what to do with, apparently. Joining me for our Season 10 premiere, we have made it to 10 fucking seasons. I don't know how we've made it to 10 fucking seasons. I almost just snapped my laptop in half just now from that shit. But I'm getting all my curses out now because during fantasy draft on Sunday, I'm not allowed to curse, apparently. So, joining me, my co-host and my partner in crime for the fantasy draft and one of the three-man crew that we run here at Korner Booth, ladies and gentlemen, Matthew Ordezo.
You said we're not allowed to curse during the fantasy football
Yeah,
draft?
I found that out. That was the Jared rule, I guess.
I don't. All right. Do we lose a pick if we do? Because I'm gonna
just mute
have
your
to
mic,
come
I
up with
guess.
some. All right, that's fair. All right.
All right.
10 seasons. We're coming for you, Law and Order.
There you go. And of course, joining us, the third member of our team, our fantasy expert, our favorite Texan, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mason Rutch.
How's it going, guys?
Oh, hopefully you're doing better than me, pal. I'm about to throw. I'm technical difficulties today have been killing me.
Look at the fresh haircut.
Thank you, sir.
Looking like a 22-year-old Jimmy Garoppolo right there.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
I definitely know his girlfriend probably appreciates the haircut. Ladies and gentlemen, also joining us, some amazing guests. It wouldn't be our 10th anniversary without our longest-running co-host, the host of Tailgate on the Quad podcast, and one of the people I go to for most college football takes, even if I don't like what he says. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin.
Hi.
And, of course, our resident AJ Hawk, our host of the High-Low Sports Pod. Usually I'm doing this intro mid-segment. He's part of the Bert and Ernie duo that we have at Belly Up Sports. His show airs every Wednesday, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. He is the Hunter Renfro stunt double and the human likeness of C-3PO. Ladies and gentlemen, TJ Stewart.
There's a reason there's a no cursing rule, and Jared, you'd probably go over the quote before we even started. So it's getting there, and for every time you curse, you have to toss a dollar into the chip jar, and you lose a pick. So you guys will have
we'll just start docking them backwards and I'll have to pick up free agents.
No, it starts at the top and goes its way down. So as soon as you let out an F, there goes pick number one. So don't lose Matt's
I'm going to freaking Nebraska to kick his ass, or Iowa to kick his fucking ass. And of course, in the background, we have our amazing intern, Mr. Chris, doing our research and hanging out tonight. He'll probably be popping toward the end of the show. Gentlemen, I'm happy you're all here. It is that time of year again. Football season is here. Week 0 kicks off, and I believe less than 48 hours. And on top of that, we have baseballs at the heat. We have NFL within the last week of the regular season and preseason going into the regular season. I am so excited I can't even keep my words straight. I was in the liquor store buying beer for vacation, and I'm just like, you know what? Like, I'm going to celebrate tonight, man. 10 fucking seasons. I have had some amazing co-hosts. Shout out to Kev, to Mark, to JD, to Matt, to Mason, to Grayson. Like, amazing co-hosts. Love every single one of them. I've had some great guests from DJ to Duck, to our boy Frank Michael Smith, who, by the way, is coming on, boys, to kick off our football coverage on Monday. We'll be live on YouTube for that one at 7 o'clock. It's going to be a fun time. Frank's going to drop in for most of the episode. We'll talk some Pittsburgh football. We'll talk some – because, he's got a hot take about the Steelers this year. He's one of those guys who's saying, hey, Pittsburgh Steelers, they're back. But you know what's back also is UCL problems for Shohei Ohtani. We'll get into college football, man. We always get out of the way first. We get out our other sports stories. It was announced today he will no longer pitch for the rest of the season, which I found was interesting because that means he still has a possibility to hit. I don't know. What do you guys think about this, DJ? I'll start with you. Ohtani done for the year. It's kind of just it sucks for Angels fans, man. I feel bad for him at this point.
Sucks for DJ, who picked the Angels to go to the World Series during Kelson has preseason prediction. So that takes a giant shot to that. As if Mike Trout's injury didn't do enough. Problem is they don't have anyone besides Ohtani and Trout. Really, they have two of the best players, and then everything after that is literally chicken poop. It's literally as top heavy as you could possibly imagine. So I don't know who's going to pitch for him because all their other pitchers have been struggling this year. It's great if he could still hit. I know with the UCL injury, I guess you still can kind of hit. You'll still be limited, but it's not as bad as it'll affect him pitching. But I'm not gonna say they're toast, but they're toast. They're definitely not the bread anymore. They're toast.
I'm assuming he's gonna go for a potential Tommy John with that, but I'm pretty sure he can probably maybe hit next year and maybe not pitch at the same time. I think either way this diminishes or decreases his value, like whether he were to be traded or if he were to get another contract extension. He's still going to get an absurd amount of money. I think this goes from maybe like a 10-plus year deal that drops it down to maybe 7. I think teams are not really going to want to go too high on him. I think they're going to question whether he wants to do both pitch or hit. I think he's going to have to – there's a potential. I think he could choose like, hey, do I want to be a pitcher or do I want to be like an everyday offensive player in baseball? Because this is his second elbow injury in his MLB career so far. So I think he's got to really decide what he wants to do after that. But somebody's going to pay him. Somebody's going to trade for him. Whatever it's going to be, he's going to find himself on either with the Angels long-term or somebody else long-term. I just think teams are going to look at him and ask him if he wants to play one position instead of a dual thing.
My question to you, Matt, just kind of building off that. Do you think maybe they could change it from being a starting pitcher to maybe like a relief or a bullpen pitcher so you can still keep that pitching prowess, but you don't have to work him so often? Maybe, I'm not going to say a closer, but like almost like a bridge like what Jobber Chamberlain used to be or something like that. So you use them in small spurts just enough to help bridge to the closer.
Yeah, I thought about, I think they mentioned on the radio the other day when I was listening, the possibility of what if he became the Angels closer and then also was, a hitter and a utility guy for them at the same time. I think that would be also beneficial for him. That would lessen his value going from a starter and a hitter to being a reliever. But I think this is options that he has to look at being in, I think he's maybe 30 or 29 or something like that. Just for the longevity of his MLB career, this is his second major elbow injury in the last 4 or 5 seasons. So it's in the realm. I think he should look into those options, but I think it's going to be tough for him to do both going forward for another 4 or 5 years.
And here's the answer to the question about the Tommy John surgery as well, too.
There you go.
So, yeah. So basically, probably shouldn't be a starting pitcher anymore for the rest of his career, in my opinion. It would probably be best for his long-term longevity and getting that massive bag you were talking about as well.
If he stops pitching, he's going to become one of the greatest hitters in baseball history. I mean, Babe Ruth was on some abysmal Red Sox teams, decided, you know what, pitching's too much work if my team's going to score 1 run while I'm pitching. Fuck this. Went to left field, started hitting, he was already a great hitter, became one of the most prolific hitters of all time with the ability to focus on that. Shohei's going to go off in the future if he stops pitching or becomes a reliever and pitches once in a while.
Yeah, I was talking. So one of the kids who works with me at my job, he's a casual baseball fan. He'll kind of root for the Red Sox. He's from his parents from the Boston area. He's really just football and basketball though. And he asked me, he goes, dude, this Ohtani thing sucks. And I'm like, yeah, we have ESPN and CBS Sports Network running on constant loop in our lobby. And I walk in, and he goes, dude, this sucks. I'm like, what? He goes, Ohtani's out. I'm like, yeah, I know, man. He goes, it sucks for baseball. I'm like, I feel bad because just as a brand itself, he's just such a fun player to watch. Even if he doesn't fucking pitch, just at the plate, like Kevin said, and on the base path. This dude, I think, didn't he clock top 5 fastest home to first in the league this year, or top 10 or something like that? Something insane. Even if he just is DH, absurd numbers and just fun on the base path, and it just looks effortless to him. And maybe pitching once in a while, maybe switch to closer. I don't fucking know. It's just how hard he throws with how much inertia and the way everything you see with DeGrom. Maybe it just isn't working for him. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Mace, what do you think about all this?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail right on the head. It sucks for the game as a whole more than anything. I mean, I think everyone kind of saw this coming after the Angels decided to keep him at the deadline. I mean, I think to everyone outside of Angels fans, it was apparent given the roster around Ohtani and Trout that they were not going to be able to make a push. This was always going to be between Houston, the Rangers, and the Mariners for this division. And they'd really have to pull off something special to even gain a wild card spot. So it sucks to see him out. It's interesting to see what will happen with his arm for the rest of the season, whether or not he pitches at all. And yeah, to Matt's point, I don't think there's any way that he is back on the Angels next year unless they just pay him by and far the largest contract I think we've ever seen in baseball history. I feel like at this point he has accomplished all of the individual records, and now it's just kind of up to him about whether or not he wants to go somewhere where he can win a championship. And I think he would even be willing to take a pay cut to go to a team like New York, a team like the Dodgers, simply because he wants to win. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. But I don't think he's on the LA Angels come this time next year.
I think when's the second we get to the regular season, the off season, the first thing we're going to talk about is who's he signing with. And I think it's going to be worse than Harper and Machado a few years ago, where it was all we talked about in baseball for months. So it's going to be really interesting going forward who's going to sign him. I mean, obviously leading the clubhouse might be the Dodgers. His disdain for the Yankees might keep that one away, and the fact that they're paying Giancarlo Stanton to get thrown out jogging to home plate. Sorry, Matt, I know that one hurt a little bit. But it's just the whole thing honestly fucking sucks. I don't know any other way to put it. But
I mean,
oh, sorry, go.
No, you're good. He's on pace. I mean, as we speak, he's on pace to be a Hall of Famer, where he's doing something we haven't seen done since Babe Ruth, like Kevin was saying before. I think I agree with Kevin in the sense of I think if he has to choose one position, he should really go towards the hitting route, because this man is I'm pretty sure he was on pace at one point to break Judge's record of this past season with home runs. And if he just switches to just a full-time hitter, and he cracks like 40 home runs a season plus, he's on his way to a first ballot Hall of Famer guaranteed by the time he retires. I think that's a better productive career for him than being just strictly an ace pitcher for him. He's too valuable offensively. I think he should go the outfield or DH route if he has to choose.
I'm with it. I guess the last thing, because they were asking me, the kid at the front desk, he was like, so like going forward, like who are the big superstars? I'm like, I mean, you throw out like Mookie, Julio Rodriguez, Trout, but Trout's always fucking injured. Bryce Harper, Judge, now that he's back, Ronald Acuna, but none of them have that pull of Ohtani. Ohtani was like, even my mother was talking about it with her friends at the bar when I walked up to like pick her up, and I'm just like my mom's talking about Shohei Ohtani. What the fuck is this shit? So it was an interesting one because she was watching the All-Star game with me. We do have some NFL news to talk about today. Trade went down. The New York Football Giants are now adding I don't know if I would call this guy a linebacker. It's like a hybrid something. Isaiah Simmons, the 9th overall pick in the 2020 draft, is now a member of the New York Giants. Clearly not schemed right in Arizona. Mr. Pew 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 himself apparently didn't know how to use a guy who runs a 4-3-4 at the linebacker position. Either way, the Giants are, it's a weird. I mean, good to get a change of scenery. Giants are loading up with freak athletes. Oh shit, there's somebody we haven't seen in a while. Friend of the show, Chet Rodriguez. Check out our boys over at Sports Scramble every Wednesday. Big college baseball boys, but also big college football fans. They're definitely tuning in tonight. Fellas, any reaction here at all to Isaiah Simmons going to the Giants, or is this kind of just like Great. You added a fast car that can't do anything.
I mean,
Tyler's done.
Oh,
They're tanking. They're 100% tanking for Caleb Williams with this move. They're sick of Kyler having a higher KD than touchdown to interception ratio. So Kyler's out in Arizona. I don't know. Maybe FaZe Clan will sign him or something. Who fucking knows?
or maybe he'll finally take that A's contract he always wanted.
I think it's good for the Giants. I mean, they gave up the bottom of the barrel of draft pick that you could possibly give up for a player. This is a former 8th overall pick a handful of years ago, fast hybrid linebacker. We'll see if he can scheme him up right in New York, but this is a low risk, high reward situation for the Giants, giving up pretty much nothing for the guy. Yeah, that's really it. I mean, he's just solid, speedy, athletic depth for them.
I think he's going to be a menace. If we've learned anything, it's when Arizona trades away defensive players, they end up thriving somewhere else. We can look at Son Reddick just for that. They've had a lot of good players that they don't know how to use. So I think Isaiah Simmons with the Giants is going to be an absolute menace as a linebacker safety hybrid, especially because he's going to have to chase around guys like Jalen Hurts in that division. You got to chase around the receivers in Washington, chasing around Dak and Tony Pollard. I think he's going to be a menace for him defensively. They were already good last year with what they have. Now you added a piece like this. Wink Martindale, the defensive
Martindale, that's who it is.
He's going to have some fun with Isaiah Simmons. He's going to be an absolute menace this year. Not saying defensive player of the year, nothing dramatic, but it's going to be like, oh, yeah, that's the guy that came out of Clemson and terrified everybody for a few years.
It's honestly, I love it going forward for the Giants. Schematically, even if it's just like he's kind of like that in-between linebacker, anything's better than what they had last year at their line. I guess because like linebacker positions where they struggled, you saw in the playoffs where the Eagles were able to run the ball down their throat in a lot of games where they're just hanging on by a thread. Their line was compensating for the fact their linebacking core was struggling. So hopefully Simmons is a good fit there. Honestly, also I just felt like he was a weird fit in Arizona to begin with.
This scenario, you got a 6'4", 240-pound guy that runs a 4.3. You could put a gunner on the punt team and just completely terrorize anyone who tries to do a punt return on them whatsoever.
Exactly. And DJ, this is why they don't let you at the Little League games anymore for pickup.
Oh, not at all.
All right. Anything else on Isaiah Simmons before we go to our next NFL headline? Nothing? Great. All right,
sir.
Jonathan Taylor. They finally are allowing a trade. It's looking like I've heard Miami. I'm not buying this Eagles rumor. I don't think it's happening. I'm not going to get my hopes up. I don't even know if I want – I mean, I would want JT, but it's like we have good – I mean, I don't know. I feel weird about it, but like I would love JT, obviously. But Miami, it's looking like kind of the leader in the clubhouse. Mace, you're the one who brought that up in the group chat before. You want to take a lead on this?
Sure, yeah. So there really hasn't been much news other than Miami taking a huge interest in him. I have seen, and I'm sure everyone in here has seen, that there's 6 teams that have checked in with the Colts on him, and I guess all the insiders are just kind of saying that there's 2, Miami and someone else that they haven't kind of named, that are considered the serious kind of willing to compensate the Colts in a way that the Colts would see fit and be worthy in their minds to deal him. I think everybody is kind of looking at Baltimore as a team, obviously Miami, and there's 2 others. I can't remember them off the top of my head.
Chicago was one.
Chicago is the other one. Like, he's apparently not
DJ.
interested in Chicago now. Like,
who DJ? Can you remember the other one? I can't remember. There's one other. Like,
not off the top of my head. I don't think they named a 6th one. I think they just said there was like a couple offers, but I can't remember the other ones that were rumored to be called.
So like Matt was kind of saying when we were going back and forth earlier, it's just interesting from Miami's standpoint because they've given up so much in recent years for Tyreek Hill and Bradley Chubb last year that they don't really have that much draft compensation to offer Indianapolis. So I think a lot of people feel like at that point they're going to have to start giving up personnel. And obviously for a guy like Jonathan Taylor, it's going to have to be, someone noteworthy, right? Who's headlining that deal going to Indianapolis, not just going to be, a first, a third, and, maybe a low-level player, right? It's going to be someone like Matt, you said Jalen Waddle. It's not going to be some some guy that we've never really heard of, who's maybe an up and coming, rising star.
Irsay's going to want like a Shamu size deal. Is that too soon, by the way? Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now, one of the coolest dudes at Belly Up, a diehard Sooners fan, a great college football fan, and a avid collector of amazing comic book paraphernalia. Just look behind his background. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Unfair Sports Show and the Sooner or Later, ladies and gentlemen, Jay Smith.
What it do?
What's up, Jay? How you doing, brother? Jay, I have to apologize. I sent you 2 graphics, and me quick flipping through my phone this morning, making sure everyone had their links. I thought me sending you the graphic was the link, so I apologize because of the same headshot. I apologize for that. I'm sorry. Obviously, we're about to get into college football in a second. We're just finishing up on some JT stuff. Any reaction to Jonathan Taylor possibly getting out of Indy finally?
I think what's fascinating about that is that we really have gotten to the point where the running back is indispensable. That it's dispensable. We get rid of those things, which is crazy. And I'm wondering how the market is going to correct itself, because at some point it has to. When you really look at all of the landscape of it, I understand why running back, as far as salary goes, like the franchise tag number on them has decreased. Like it's the only position that goes down. And the real reason is that, they take all the hits. So people don't want to pay them for some reason. But if the Colts were smart, you pay Jonathan Taylor. The reason you pay him is you have a rookie quarterback that's about to start. Get him stability in the backfield. Give everybody attention they need to go after so that Anthony Richardson can figure out what it is being an NFL quarterback. Because once coaches start to scheme on him, those coordinators, he's gonna start having problems. And every quarterback has those problems in the first couple of years. I mean, go look at what Peyton Manning did. He had more interceptions than touchdowns. I think he had set the rookie record for most interceptions as a rookie. So you're gonna have that. Having a stable running back does nothing but help that situation. So I'm really hoping one of these teams that have a young quarterback and don't really have a running game, maybe like Tampa Bay, that would be awesome for us to go pick him up in a trade, because having a running back that's established and you overpay him for maybe one season until your quarterback really gets paid is never a bad thing to do.
It's Kev, I know me and you had this argument probably 3,000 times over the last 5 seasons of this show. I'm less of now what I used to, which is pay every running back. Now I'm more pay the correct ones. I think JT is the correct running back to pay. I don't think he's ever going to get the money that McCaffrey or fucking DH is going to King Henry got. No. But 2,000-yard seasons, and the other one he missed, the Colts mismanaged that injury horribly, and then so it's just the playing time, everything else. He'll probably run for 1,000 yards this year regardless of where he plays. He's worth that. And with JT, to me, I think just the bonus of even just a 3-year deal, where when he turns 27 or 28 when the contract's up, and then you let him go, that's fine. But I think the gamble is worth it for a guy who's going to basically can blow a game up for you when you need him to. That's the kind of capability he has. Where a lot of these running backs talk about, I want this money. I even think Saquon should have gotten paid. But Saquon also took a shit deal. Saquon also has the unfortunate history of the fact that his knee and his shins and whatever the fuck else is built like Swiss cheese. He finally had a healthy season in his contract year. Awesome. But history is a real thing. Look at Miles Sanders. Missed a total of 5 games, I believe, in his first 3 years in Philadelphia and got a contract. And I think he got the highest paid contract in the offseason for a running back, total number of dollars. I don't think it's per year, but at least for total value, because he got a 3-year deal or a 4-year deal. Either way, I look at this whole thing with the running backs, and I'm just kind of I also think that we don't know what Jim Irsay said in his party bus. I'm not going to do the whole blowing lines of Coke imitation again. I think that once was enough. But the fact he's too concerned about the whale and he's concerned about the fact that now his quarterback's basically going to get hit every 5 seconds, because now Deion Jackson is your most experienced running back currently on that roster. So I don't know. Kev, Matt, anything on this you got?
I mean, Miami is, in my opinion, is the favorite for him in the sense of they're obviously the one team out there that's heavily pursuing a running back. They were heavily in on Dalvin Cook. They're now obviously in on JT. I mean, looking at 2024 draft capital-wise, they have a first and a second, and then they have a 5th, 6th, and 7th round pick. It's Jim Irsay wants that first round pick and then some. So unless they plan on giving up their entire 2024 draft class kind of thing, they would have to throw in a player, like a significant player. And the first one that comes to mind is Jalen Waddle, because what is the one thing the Colts need on offense is another wide receiver for Anthony Richardson. So that would be the first guy that I ask for if I'm Jim Irsay. If you're not going to give me the picks that I want, I need a player, and Jalen Waddle would be that guy. And I don't think Miami's going to give up on him. So I think ultimately JT stays in the Colts. Whether he plays this year or not, I think he stays in the Colts this year. Maybe gets traded at the deadline, but I don't think he's on another team besides Indianapolis week 1.
I don't know. It's the fact that he's pushing for. I heard Minnesota was another one. Did we even bring that up before? That was another one that got thrown in the conversation, even though they just didn't pay a running back. So I don't. This whole JT thing is fucking weird. Kev, you got anything on this?
I agree with Matt. Whatever Irsay is offered, he's gonna, in his drug-addled brain, go, well, if they're offering this, then I can get more. Like a team would go, hey, we'll give you 3 firsts and prime Steve Young for Jonathan. They go, well, if they're offering this, I can get 4 firsts and like prime Michael Vick. So I'm gonna hold out, wait a little bit, see what I can do.
Yeah, right. He'd be like, you got prime Michael Vick, I'll get Eagles first year Michael Vick. Like, I'll make this work. All right. Deej, you got anything on this? You want to roll into college football at this point?
I don't think he's going to get traded, honestly, because he also have to find someone who's going to pay him on top of that as well, too. And he's trying to get that $16 million a year coming off of ankle surgery in a down year. No one's going to give you CMC money coming off of that. Like, he's basically the running back martyr right now, unfortunately, trying to reset the market. So I don't think he's going to find anyone that's going to give him that deal. Maybe he finds a trade just to get out of Indianapolis to get away from Irsay. But as far as getting traded to get that deal, I don't see anyone paying him that much until they see him back on the field.
I use the term a lot when we talk about contracts, but he needs an Alshon Jeffrey deal where he's going to get that 1-year deal to prove it. He goes, hey, listen, throw me another year on the contract, give me a little more money, let me make this work, and then boom, just earns that 4-year deal, even if he doesn't play half of it. Alshon Jeffrey. All right, that one left a sour taste in my mouth. All right, the main reason why we're here, the main reason why Kevin is here, why Jay is here, is we're talking college football. Boys, week 0 is 48 hours away. Our boy Stacy from Morgan Man Sports brought up, we got Vandy versus Hawaii. We've got USC versus San Jose State, which the line was -31 this morning. It's probably going to go up, and he is a Georgia boy, 2-time defending champs. Go Dogs. Kevin, obviously, and I know you're not the biggest Dogs fan at all. Neither is Matt. Jay, I'm curious, as a soon-to-be SEC guy, you and Mason are joining that fold next year as Sooners. Are you guys ready for this intense SEC craziness?
I mean, we've dealt with craziness from SEC people for years. I mean, we're in Oklahoma. We're not that far. It's funny because we've faced a lot of SEC schools typically in the playoffs. I know that we went to Knoxville and played Tennessee twice. We actually had Georgia scheduled, but they had to cancel it. The SEC canceled it mainly because the home-and-home setup, the reciprocated game was set for the 2031 because that was when Georgia had their next opening in non-conference. And so they were like, no, Oklahoma can't have a home game and then Georgia not get a reciprocating home game, especially since they don't know how they want to schedule things as far as like the pods and stuff. So we know all the craziness of people, man. People are crazy when it comes to football in Oklahoma and Texas too. So we totally get it. We're ready for it though. I'm pretty excited.
Fair enough, Mace. You ready to get out of the Big 12 after this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's been fun since I've been here. But, yeah, I think everyone at OU and who's involved with OU is ready to kind of take that next step where we get that same kind of respect that Alabama and Georgia and schools like A&M, schools like Tennessee last year all kind of get that same sort of bias where the SEC kind of trumps everyone, right? Even though, when you play Vanderbilt, when you play Kentucky, when you play who else? Missouri, Arkansas, right? The bottom of the barrel schools that are weak, just like any other conference. Hey, we're ready for that playoff bias too. We're ready for the committee to, kind of give us a little bit of help towards the end of the season. So it should be interesting. I know our Sooners are going to be ready to fight and ready to rise to the challenge. So I'm excited to see what happens in the next year.
All right, Kevin, lock and load.
I'm just in awe of Texas A&M getting that SEC respect.
No, they almost lost to us, and we're ass.
Texas A&M gets clowned every year. They're terrible. Like, it's 8-4 is Texas A&M Day because they're not that great of a program. Besides that, I don't really have anything.
I mean, we're not talking program history here. All we're saying is that they get thrown in with the Georgias, Bamas, and you guys like to say that, oh, well, this is a tough opponent. Going to College Station, oh, it's not an easy game. But when OU and Texas spin it around and say, oh, well, we got to go out to Lubbock, we got to go up to Manhattan, Kansas, everybody laughs, right? Because of what? What's the equivalent here, right? So that is all I'm trying to say. I'm not bigging up A&M's, history. I'm not saying they're good either. I think they're clowns, and they thought the pay-to-play method was, going to work out perfectly. But, hey, they still get thrown in the lot. They still get the respect that every other school in the SEC does. So I'm just saying, let's bring the SEC back down to earth now, and realize that there is a little bit of, I guess, overrating going
top
on.
Heavy. It's top heavy.
Thank you.
Well, what conference isn't top heavy? I mean, the Big
Ten.
No.
Listen, I am part of probably the most top heavy conference of all time. It's one guy.
Jay, that is the point that I'm trying to make here.
Exactly.
That, right, the Big 12, right? OU has dominated the conference for, my entire lifetime. I'm 23 years old. They've been, champions probably 15 plus times in the last 20 years. And you look at the SEC, right? You've had Florida, who's been great for a little while, Bama, Georgia. And then every other year, maybe you've seen LSU, right? They've won a couple of those years. But it's all top heavy. It's all relative, right? Like, same with the Big Ten. So my point being is that, hey, it's top heavy. Let's not get carried away and give Kentucky and Missouri and Vanderbilt, the respect that we give Bama, Georgia, LSU, right? Let's just keep it there.
Also, I think Kentucky's getting kind of shafted on this, putting them in that category. They had a 10-win season like 2 years ago. They're not.
That is true.
That terrible.
Great.
They had Mr. Mayo running the show too.
And K-State knocked off the national runners-up last year. What's the difference? Like, it's all the same.
The difference is also that there have been 4 non-SEC national champions since 2007.
I'm saying it's top heavy, man, and I will die on that hill.
It's the same 6 teams. It's kind of, you're both right. So, fellas, perfect timing. We're talking SEC. We'll go around the horn. We'll start with Mr. Kevin, and we'll finish with myself. SEC champion. Now, I'm gonna say straight up, like, we're gonna go champion, your surprise team, and who is going to be the biggest disappointment. So you go 1 through 3. We'll go back, and then we'll discuss. Kevin, you are my resident SEC expert. I text you for anything SEC. You're starting. Who's winning the SEC? Who's the surprise team? Who is going to shit the bed?
Alabama is winning the SEC. They are going back to joyless murder ball. They're running the ball down your throat, whether you like it or not. The surprise team, I think it's actually going to be Vanderbilt this year. I think they showed a lot of improvement under Clark Lee last year. They got another year under them. I'm not saying they're going to be world beaters. I'm not saying they're definitely going to make a bowl game, but I think they are going to show a little bit of improvement over last year. Might fuck around and make a bowl. Who knows? And the disappointing team is going to be Georgia. Again, not saying they're going 7-5, 7-6.
They lost 14 starters,
but they lost a shit ton of starters after the first natty. My contention here, then I've made the same argument on Tailgate and Quad. They lost, I think, the glue guy, the guy that held that team together, the guy that was making the decisions on every offensive play, the guy who was their leader for 2 national championships. It's Stequavius Bennett. He's out in LA now. I think they're going to feel that. Their quarterback,
Mason's
by
boy.
the way, Van Gruff, whatever his name is too goddamn horny to win a national championship.
Okay, so that story is true then?
The Snapchat about
Oh my god. I got sent that by somebody
What?
randomly. It's like, did you hear about this shit? Oh, Kevin, you have to fill us in now. I've heard this story.
I gotta
All
pull
right.
it up. Hang on. I sent it to my co-host, or he sent it to me. I gotta find it. It's on my Twitter or my Instagram.
It's
But
the
basically,
greatest. Here you go.
it's a Snapchat of his that he sent out. And God, I send Kieran way too many. It was basically just there it is. He sent a girl a Snapchat making that face. And you're right, that's my B. It's probably because I'm so lost in how good you look. Not trying to be weird, but especially when your tits are out, gets my shit on hard immediately. That's a quarterback. That's an 8-4 quarterback if I've ever seen one.
8-4. Psh, that's 1-11 right there. He's focused. He knows what to get.
Well, see, he's got to win a little bit.
Yeah. Oh my
So
god,
he can-
that's bad.
So he can comment on girls like that and get them. But
Oh my
yeah,
God.
so Georgia's quarterback, too horny. They got
All
Stephen
right.
A. Smith back there. They're not going to win another natty. They're not 3-peating.
There you
Win
go.
or lose, we boobs.
All right, Mr. Stewart. Winner, surprise, piece of shit. What do you got?
We're going to double down with winner and surprise. I'm going to say LSU is the winner and the surprise. I think Jane Daniels arguably the best quarterback in the conference. You have arguably the best receiver in Malik Nabers as well, and they do have a loaded running back room. So I'm going to say LSU wins the SEC and is a surprise. The disappointment, I'm going to go with Tennessee. I think they're going to come back down to earth a little bit. I think last year was a little bit of an anomaly. So I think they'll still be fine, like 8-4 or something like that. They're just not going to look like a runaway national championship contender this year. I think they're going to come back down to earth just a little bit.
Matthew, you're the LSU fan here. You're doing. I'm surprised you're not doing cartwheels down the freaking road right now.
Winning the SEC in Matt world is LSU. In reality, I'm going with Alabama on this one. I think this is the year Georgia takes a little bit of a fall off, losing all those starters in the draft. I think Alabama tries to just to come back and just kind of regain that title. LSU is my surprise team. I think Jaden Daniels makes a step this year in his senior year. I'm still new to college football, but I'm going with the Texas A&M as an upset because they are annoying the shit out of me. And I'm new to college football, so if it's annoying me, it's got to be annoying a lot of people. So let's go with them as disappointment because
They're losing to Miami week 2 because they're in Coral Gables after. Yeah, they're going to lose to Miami week 2. Their program's in shambles. Ours ain't much better, but they're going to lose. They beat us by a field goal last year. And Josh Gaddis may be the worst offensive coordinator in NCAA history. Kevin, you warned me, so I owe you a beer for that one. So Sunday, I'm buying first round because I owe you a beer for that one. All right, Mace, winner, loser. Winner, piece of shit, surprise. What do you got?
So for winner, I think Bama is going to return to its winning ways. I think everybody makes a good point who touched on Georgia. Lost a lot of starters. Starting quarterback's gone. Todd Monken is gone. I think that's another piece that people forget about. He's been the OC for a number of years there. So you've got a lot of new faces. You've got a lot of change going on to a team that is used to, just absolutely dominating. And so I think that Bama will have its way with them. Because it's just going to kind of be an adjustment period for Georgia coming off 2 natties in a row. I think the disappointment this year is going to be Tennessee along with DJ. I just felt like they had a lot of guys move on from the program too. Particularly Hendon Hooker, Jalen Hyatt, guys like that. They had a couple guys transfer out. And so I feel like there are really high expectations now because we all know the rabid fan base at Tennessee and the fans have just been starved for so long for any kind of success. And so last year with beating Bama, and ending up beating Clemson in the Orange Bowl was great. And it got everyone excited around Tennessee football again. But I just don't see them repeating that kind of season. And And hey, maybe that just turns out, like DJ said, them going 8-4, right? 9-3. But I don't think there's any way that they compete for, I guess it would be the East here. I don't see them being on Georgia's level, even though I don't see Georgia winning the conference. And then I think surprise, I'm with DJ again here. I think LSU is going to come out and look really solid from the get-go. I think Brian Kelly's a great coach. I think he's really underrated. And keeping Jaden Daniels around, I think that was a really underrated transfer that they were able to get him from Arizona State. And he's been fantastic. And I think something that a lot of people took away from last year is that he continued to get better as the season went on. I think we can all remember the Florida State game that they lost on like a last-second field goal. Maybe it went to OT. I can't remember. Labor Day weekend last year. But every single weekend going forward, there was improvement from that team. I'm not a huge LSU guy, but I feel like Brian Kelly knows what he's doing. He knows how to coach guys up, and he certainly knows how to have success at any program. And we've seen that at Cincinnati, Notre Dame, and we'll see that at LSU. So there you go.
All right, Mr. J, what you got for me?
Yeah, so I'm in agreement with a lot of the panel here. LSU's my SEC champion. They're going to be your surprise as well. Jaden Daniels being the returning quarterback. Nussmeier as his backup told me enough. I think Nussmeier is probably one of the better. He's the best backup quarterback in the SEC, but he's also going to be one of the better starting quarterbacks when he actually gets the job. And since Jaden Daniels can actually beat him for the job, told me enough of that I needed to know. Disappointment-wise, it's definitely going to be Georgia. They're not going undefeated again. They're not winning a third national championship. You cannot make me believe Georgia will win a third national championship if Alabama couldn't do it with all those great teams they had over the last 10 years. So since that's the case, yeah, I don't see that happening for Georgia. Plus, replacing offensive coordinator, replacing their quarterback who was a walk-on, and the struggles that we've seen them have with 5-star quarterbacks, yeah, told me everything I need to know about what's going to happen with this team this coming season. They're going to have to figure out their new identity. Their offensive coordinator, Bobo, was an analyst on the team last year, so of course he understands the Georgia offense, but with him taking the reins, I don't have faith in him right now. They will have to prove me wrong. So I'm going with LSU, and I think Georgia's going to be the biggest disappointment because they're not going to go 12-0. They're not going to go 11-1. They're not going to go 10-2. They probably won't go 9, and they'll probably go 9-3 or 8-4 this year. It'll bring them back down, and then they'll level themselves back up once Carson Beck figures it out. Brock Vandegrift, he should be hitting the portal sometime soon too.
Fair enough. Listen, as much as I want to roll with all y'all about like saying LSU, I think LSU's going to be great this year, but let's also remember they're ranked in the top 5 this year. You also have Tennessee that's ranked 12 right now. Like, I think they're going to hang around that top 15, top 10 area the whole year. I'm a big Joe Milton fan. I think he's one of the most fun quarterbacks to watch in college football. My SEC winner, Roll Tide. Listen, there's a lot of scary motherfuckers in that defense. Nick Saban's going back to Nick Saban football. An athletic quarterback, good running game. This is just the Bama teams I had during college. Like, they're going to win 12, 13 games and probably be in the championship playoff. My surprise team is going to be South Carolina. Now, they're only going to win maybe 9 games. I'm a big Spencer Rattler redemption fan. I like the new arc of Spencer Rattler. I used to shit on this guy constantly. He was fun to watch last year. And another year in that offense.
Fun to watch stink it up.
You know what? Listen, they're probably going to win like 8 or 9 games. I'm okay with it. I think it's going to be a fun team to watch. There's a lot of talent in the South Carolina defense and offense. It's going to be fun. Now, they're not going to, like, I couldn't pick LSU because everyone picked LSU for the surprise team. But to me, they're a number 5 seed. Number 5 in the fucking country. It's not really a surprise. My stinker team may only win 5 games. That's those inbreds from Gainesville. I think the Florida Gators program is in shambles. They were thumped by Oregon State in that bowl game. To quote Pat McAfee, the game ended at kickoff. That was the ugliest bowl game I watched last year. Almost as bad as the national championship game. But at least the national championship game, I had money on Texas TCU to cover, so I figured, fuck it, I'll hang in this for a while. I knew Oregon State was going to thump them the second everyone pulled out of that bowl game. Florida is in a state of they dumped some toxic sewage in the swamp, but this ain't a TMNT cartoon. Nobody's going to get superpowers. All it did was just kill everything in the swamp. Florida is down bad, and I think they may only win 4 to 5 games this year. They're going to lose a lot of games they should win, and I think it's the fact that it just doesn't look good in Gainesville right now. So Gainesville and Florida is that's my shit team. I can't pick against Bama. The way Nick Saban was talking about everything during that national championship broadcast, I'm like, yo, he about to fucking run him off the field by 40. I'm not getting involved. Nick Saban, when he's that pissed off, chooses violence. I'm happy we don't play them this year. But there you go. I think LSU is going to be fine. They're just going to lose to Alabama. That's what's going to end up happening. All right. That went a while. Let's talk ACC. We'll make this rapid fire because, listen, it's the simplest conference in football. There's like 5 teams actually might have a winning record. So I'll start. My conference winner is Clemson. Listen, as much as I think Cade Klubnik is the most overrated quarterback in college football, Clemson's still got a good team. They still got a couple more years. The Dabo fade off from Trevor Lawrence. My surprise team is the Canes. It's not even fan bias here. A healthy Tyler Van Dyke with a offensive coordinator who's not mentally brain dead and 2 All-American caliber safeties leading that defense with a good pass rush and good corners. Give me Miami to be that surprise team. They'll probably get thumped by Clemson in the championship game. I think the biggest disappointment is going to be FSU. Everyone is overhyping Jordan Travis. Everyone is overhyping this team. There's a lot of question marks on Mike Norvell's squad. It's not like this team is that everyone's just banking on them to win the ACC or to finish in the top 10 because of their quarterback. But there's so many holes in that defense, so many holes on the offense. They got out of a lot of bad situations with Travis's athleticism last year, and they got a lot of decent. They had a lot of ways they just win close games. Everyone forgets Drake May is still in that conference. So is Clemson. So is Miami. So is North Carolina State's defense. And Virginia. You still have to go to Virginia Tech every year. There's a lot of different things involved in the ACC. I think a lot of people put too much stock in a very easy FSU schedule last year. They did beat LSU in Brian Kelly's debut, but let's also remember that was his first time coaching with that really cheesy-ass Louisiana accent. I think going forward, it's going to be not as well. I still think Clemson wins the division, though. They are just far and away better than any other school in that conference. Kevin, shit on my conference for 5 minutes.
I think UNC is going to win. They have the second best quarterback in the country. I think that defense is legit. Mac Brown has a national championship pedigree that not a lot of other active coaches have. I think surprise team is going to be Boston College because if they win more than 3 games, that's surprising. And I think
I'm actually going to Boston College, Miami this year.
I think they'll win 4 this year, which is shocking. And upsetting team, I don't know. I feel like it is going to be Miami because Miami can't fucking figure it out.
Just I think that's just got personal, man. What the fuck?
No, they can't figure it out. I mean, I heard about Van Dyke all the time, how great he was, how he was the second coming of Jesus. I heard about Derek King was the second coming of Jesus.
From me, I'm overly optimistic. Don't act like I'm the fucking source of everything.
Yeah, the Van Dyke thing, yes, but other people were too hyped up on King. I don't think Mario Cristobal is a good coach. I haven't thought he was a very good coach since he was at Oregon. I think he's more suited for a coordinator role like he was at Alabama. So, yeah, I think Miami's going to be disappointing. Jared's going to be a disappointed boy.
I have my Eagles in pro football. I can't be that disappointed. DJ.
I'm going to say Clemson wins it. They're just more loaded. I'm going to say North Carolina's a surprise team considering they're ranked like 21. And like Kevin mentioned, they do have the second best quarterback in the country. And besides Josh Downs and a lot of players. So I think they're going to be right in the mix of it as well. So they'll be the surprise considering they're so ranked so low. Disappointment, I'm gonna go with Florida State as well, just because they're ranked in the top 10, and I don't think they're gonna finish in the top 15. I think they're gonna lose a couple of games. So I'm gonna say Florida State's gonna be the disappointment.
Matthew.
Not to be too repetitive, I got Clemson winning this division. Surprise team, I'm going with North Carolina as well, with Drake May at the helm of quarterback. I think they take a pretty big leap with him this year, and I think the future is bright with him. I mean, upsetting team, I guess you really take your pick. Like, we can just go Virginia Tech and say they're going to be straight cheeks this year. So those are my three. Go LSU. Mr. Rock.
Yeah, all right. So I'm going exactly the same as DJ here. I think Clemson, best roster in the league. And I think Klubnik takes a pretty big step forward. I think it's unfair to judge him based off of a couple of games last year in a bowl game where he's thrown in the deep end. I think it makes all the world of difference when you got the entire summer to work with the team, work with the coaches, and you know that it's going to be your job come September. So I think he makes a pretty big step in the right direction for them. And I see Drake May tearing it up. He's going to be in New York for the finalist show for the Heisman. And I think he's going to give Caleb a pretty good run for his money for this Heisman Trophy. I think he's a fantastic player. Wherever he goes in the NFL, he's going to be great. And I think offensively, they're going to tear it up, but it's not going to be enough to take out Clemson. And then I think the disappointing team of the year is FSU. I think people forget the bowl game against Oklahoma. They barely beat us. And that was, not even 6 months ago. And most of those players are returning, and I think Mike Norvell is being, overrated for what? He
has an All-American quarterback. That's literally why he's being overrated.
Well, it's just like, I don't understand it. The recruiting's not particularly well. They were all right last year. They weren't great.
They're not even in the top 25 this year for recruiting.
What did you say?
They're not even in the top 25 this year for recruiting.
Okay, so it's terrible. We'll change that to terrible. It's not even all right. It's horrible.
I may be wrong. Don't quote me on that, but I remember them.
Well, for as big a program as FSU, right? I mean, that's awful. That's pitiful. So I don't understand the hype. I think there's a lot of people out there that feel like FSU could win the conference and then go on to make the playoffs. And I don't know what they're seeing that people who disagree with that point aren't. And so, yeah, those are my three picks.
There you go. Mr. Smith, I'm waiting on what you got to say.
Oh, man. So for the ACC, the winner is Florida State. And I say that because I think that Florida State goes through and actually runs through the ACC. Look, they've got their quarterback, Jordan Travis, who's done well. He did well last year. He's going to do better this year. That defense is stupid good. Jared Verse came back, and he was a top 10 draft pick. He returned. I don't know how the hell they convinced him to come back, but they convinced him to come back. And then they added a transfer from Wyoming in Braden Fisk on the opposite side of the defensive line. We've seen them do very well in the transfer portal with defensive linemen. That's two right there. And they also added, if I'm correct, a South Carolina defensive lineman as well. So besides that, Norvell and them are finding diamonds in the rough from other teams and making them into monsters on that defensive set. So I think their defense is going to be just too much for everybody else in the ACC this year. I'm calling it 100% for Florida State to win. I think they're going to the playoffs. As far as my disappointment, oh, man, it's kind of hard to say this will be a disappointment, but I think it's going to be North Carolina. I think that they kind of just tell out to who they really are. Mac Brown actually shows us who he was at Texas and kind of why he ended up getting ran out of there at North Carolina. I think that they just kind of just taper out. They go well under expectations. So I anticipate that they're not going to do very well. And then if you want me to give you a sleeper, I'm going to say Miami. I think they actually finally bounced back. Last year was booty, especially losing to Middle Tennessee State, which if you lose to a 4-letter acronym school,
I drank a 12-pack that night. Like
you should get relegated.
I was at my buddy's house. We were shooting. I just bought a brand new weapon. I was just test firing at his range, and I get back. I check the score, and I'm like, "Are you fucking?" I'm like, "All right, we're getting fucking hammered." I think I drank half a bottle of Buffalo Trace and a 12-pack of fucking Coors Banquet. I was done.
Oh, yeah, you were lit. And so if you lose to an acronym school, yeah, I got questions about who you are.
I want Josh Gaddis' scalp, by the way.
But I do think that Miami actually bounces back and makes it to a bowl game this year with ease and potentially pushes themselves further, especially with Van Dyke being healthy.
CT's finest. All right, we're going to the Big Ten, the other big ticket championship. Listen, we went up for SEC, down for the shit box as the ACC. Now we're back to the Big Ten here. We're going to start with Kev. Who wins? Who's the surprise? Who's a piece of shit? Kevin, I know you love the Big Ten. Shout out to our boy JD.
I think Michigan's going to win it again. J.J. McCarthy's coming back. Harbaugh has gotten the monkey off his back, so to speak, that is an inability to win big games. That has now gone to Ryan Day, who is going to be the most disappointing shit team. They're going to lose to Michigan again this year. They're not going to play for the Big Ten championship. They're not going to look that good in games they do win against competent opponents. And Ryan Day is going to be in the soup line at the end of the season. Surprising team, Iowa. They have a legitimate defense. They always have a legitimate defense. I understand
quarterback.
I understand nepotism has ruined their offense because of Brian Ferentz. However, they have an experienced quarterback at the helm now. I'm not saying he's going to make the offense look competent. I'm not saying he's going to make them look good. I'm saying he's going to make them look not like shit for once. And that is good enough with Iowa's defense.
Fair. DJ.
So I'm going to take the opposite. Look at Ohio State. I think Ohio State's going to win the Big Ten. I think top to bottom, their roster is really, really good still. They have 2 future top 10 picks at receiver, first-round potential pick at running back. If they can get the quarterback spot figured out, I think they'll be set. Surprising team, I agree. I think Iowa, they finally now have the ability to utilize the forward pass on offense. So I think they're actually going to be able to do something in the Big Ten along with that defense. And disappointing, I'm going to go with Penn State. I think Penn State being ranked so highly, they're going to lose a lot of those games that most people think they could win, so I don't think they're going to finish in the top 10. So I'll have Penn State as my disappointment.
Mr. Matt.
I'm going to take Michigan for winning it. Like Kevin was saying, they have J.J. McCarthy back. John Harbaugh is staying in college for the moment. Ohio State lost Stroud, Wilson, and JSN, so I got Michigan winning that one. I'm also going with Iowa as a surprise team, like they were saying with the defense on that team. I think they could really make an impact this season. And then for shit team, I guess take your pick. I'll take Rutgers because, why not?
Take that.
All right, Mace.
All right, yeah, I've got Michigan winning this conference. I think they win the national championship this year. I think they are ready to take this next jump. I think McCarthy's going to be great. I think he is probably going to be in Heisman contention all season long. And I think they've got the pieces around him. And then I think, obviously, that tells you who my disappointing team is. I think that's going to be Ohio State, just simply because they are going to lose to Michigan. And so if you lose to Michigan, the season is a throwaway, right? And by default, that probably means that they are not going to be in Indianapolis for the Big Ten championship. So Ohio State's a disappointing team. Michigan wins it. And then I think the team that's going to be surprising is Nebraska. I think Matt Rule is a fantastic coach. I think he wasn't cut out for the NFL level, but I think he's a great college coach. We all saw how much success he had at Baylor. He was great there. He was able to recruit, get guys to stick around for 2 to 3 to 4 years. And so I think he really kind of starts to turn that program around. I think they make a bowl game this year, and things start to look up in Lincoln.
I don't hate that whatsoever. Jay, what you got for me?
Oh, yeah, that was a fascinating set of picks. So, yeah, keep it simple. Michigan's going back. They're bringing back majority of their team, as well as that really beautiful Joe Moore award-winning offensive line. So I'm riding with them. J.J. McCarthy is still the starting quarterback, former 5-star, and he's starting to look a little bit more comfortable. So I think he'll actually go out there and he'll throw the ball more, even though Michigan is a hardcore power run team. I think they're going to toss the ball around a little bit, and the defense is looking a little bit better too. So I'm calling with Michigan on that. As far as disappointments go, I'm going to say, man, that's a tough one. But I think Penn State. I think Penn State's going to come back down to reality. They're going to slide out of 10-win seasons probably for the first time, which will be a disappointment for them because James Franklin's a really good coach. He's doing a really good job, but yeah, I think that this is the year. They don't really have a quarterback yet, and so until they figure that part out, I'm going to call them as my disappointment. And then the biggest surprise, Wisconsin. I think Luke Fickell walks up there. He's got like 30 quarterbacks, but I think Fickell walks up there and gets them back the way they need to be, brings back that Wisconsin defense that we're used to, and makes the magic happen. So I think Wisconsin hits a bowl game.
Fucking dude stole my goddamn surprise pick. I'm pissed now.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm like, look at Wisconsin. I'm like, they got Fickell. They got like a couple of quarterbacks. They still have a returning starter at running back. Their offensive line is still a bunch of upper class. I'm like, it's a good team. I also have the same disappointment as you, which is hilarious in itself, too. I have Ohio State winning the conference this year. Ooh. There's something about J.J. McCarthy, though. It's just something bothers me. I don't know what it is. I don't know what happened. Here's my kicker, though. I still think Michigan beats Ohio State, but there was a quote today I saw from a certain broadcaster from Barstool, Brandon Walker. He said, Michigan is built to beat Ohio State. Ohio State's built to win championships. It was on like the Mark Titus show or whatever. And I was like, that's real as hell. Except Ohio State won't win the national championship, but they'll make it in. I don't know how this is going to happen. I still think Ohio State's going to win, but Michigan is going to, even if Ohio State wins that game, it's going to be fucking ugly. I think Ryan Day is an overrated coach. I agree with Kevin in that aspect. Actually, no, fuck it. I can't even do this anymore. This is charade. It's fucking Michigan. I tried to talk myself into taking Ohio State to be different, and I can't because every time I try to talk myself into Ryan Day with his own recruits, I just talk myself out of it.
I just think there's too much uncertainty at quarterback for them. That's like my concern.
Exactly. I'm not the biggest J.J. McCarthy fan, but they have two All-American caliber running backs, and they kept 80% of that offense together. I'm JD. I love you, buddy. I'm sorry. I can't pick Ohio State here. It's Michigan. I flip-flopped already. All right, moving on. We'll do Pac-12 quick, and we'll finish with the Big 12 to round it off with the Power 5. Pac-12 rapid fire. Does anybody not have USC winning the Pac-12? Anybody?
USC?
USC? Okay. Jay, explain yourself.
So, Utah's won the Pac-12 2 years in a row, and Cam Rising is back. Now, he may not play game one against Florida, but he's expected to be back within the first 2 weeks of the season, in which by the time they get the conference play, there's a good chance he's going to play, and I expect them to beat USC again. Look, when you look at USC's schedule, the last is like in the middle of it. There's like 7 straight games of just torture for them. Remember, the Pac-12 probably has the most experienced set of quarterbacks in college football. So as much as we clown the Pac, their quarterback play is excellent. So they've got to play and deal with Washington. They got to go to Oregon. They're dealing with, Oregon State, who DJ Uiagalelei just won that job. So they've got another experienced quarterback who I think is actually good in a better system. I don't think Clemson's system was built very well for him. But they got a gauntlet. And honestly, the way it's set up, that Cal game could probably be the trap game of all of them because it could be the game that they overlook in preparation for the next week. So with Utah, Oregon, I got Oregon winning the Pac this year. I like Klein and Bo picks. I call them Bo picks for a reason, but experience sometimes help when you're dealing with a very good conference. And Dan Lanning is getting that defense up and running the way it needs to be. He's winning a lot of recruiting battles to me, and it tells me that, you know what, they're going to probably put out a really solid product on the defensive side. So, honestly, I had Oregon winning the Pac.
All right, fair enough. I have SC. Kev, you have SC?
Yes, also, I think it's the Pac-2 now with Stanford and Cal going to the ACC.
Yeah, it's the Pac-2. Or the Pac-1, whatever. All right, we'll go down the list because everyone except Jay has SC winning the damn thing with Mr. Heisman. But I want to hear your surprise and your piece of shit. So, Kev, who's your surprise? Who's your piece of shit?
My surprise, I think it's going to be Oregon State. They're the little brothers to Oregon. I'm not a big fan of DJ Uiagalelei,
Ohio State Dominoes.
But I think he's good enough to get the job done for Oregon State, and I think that they will utilize him better than Clemson. I think Clemson wanted a more pocket passer kind of quarterback, and that's just not what he is. They need to just get him to run downhill. They'll win games. My disappointment is going to be Oregon. I think Bo Nix, his child support is finally going to catch up to him, and I think he's going to be very distracted when his baby mom comes knocking for him and yells at him for abandoning 2 kids.
Fair enough, TJ.
Tough to follow that up, but all right. So for a surprise, I'll go with Oregon State as well, just because there's not a whole lot of other teams to choose from that aren't ranked higher. Disappointment, I'm going to go with Washington. I think Michael Penix is awesome, but I don't think the rest of that team's going to be able to quite follow the lead, if that makes sense. So I think Washington's going to be a little bit disappointed. But
I like most people. I got USC winning it all. My surprise team. I'm gonna go Colorado because why not? I believe in the Deion Sanders effect, so I got them being a surprise team for me. And my disappointing team, it's gonna be Oregon because Bo Nix knows whenever I bet on him, and he just screws me purposely every time. He doesn't know who I am, but he makes sure to just screw me whenever I put like $2 on him. So it's gonna be Oregon.
If you want Oregon to lose, Venmo Matt exactly how much money you want him to bet. He will bet that money on Oregon. They will lose. It's like me telling Mark, my former co-host, to bet on the Panthers for 5 straight weeks so the Eagles can get into the playoffs. It's a proven jinx. Somehow in the Korner Booth every year, there's one member who has a death sentence betting on somebody. Last year for me, it was the Las Vegas Raiders. I could not. If I bet against them, they won. If I bet for them, they win. If I didn't touch them, it was a wild card. So, that being said, Matt and the Oregon Ducks have a really bad relationship with Bo Nix under center. Mr. Mason, let's have you lead us into the close here. You're surprised and you're a piece of shit.
All right. Surprise, I'm going to go with ASU. I think Jaden Rashada is going to be, if you don't know his name already, remember that name. I think he's going to be great for them. And I think Dillingham is a fantastic coach who has had great success at all of the programs where he's been a coordinator, analyst, whatever his job or his title has been in the offense, wherever he's been, he's done a great job. People have spoken very highly of him. And so I think they are barely going to be bowl eligible, but I think they are going to be bowl eligible nonetheless. And I think Rashada is going to be one to watch. He's going to have highlights this year, but I think in 2 years, he is going to be someone to pay attention to. My disappointment of the year, that's going to be Colorado. I think the approach where you completely factor out culture and you just have a bunch of guys who are great on paper and who were individually great is not the route to success. I think you have to have some kind of cohesion, and I think that cohesion in college football or really in any pro sport, amateur sport, has to be culture. Everyone's got to be bought into the same idea, and that has to be something other than winning. And I think that while this conference is really weak and that Colorado will see success, I don't think that while this is the approach at Colorado under Deion Sanders, I don't see them making any kind of, ripple. Like even when they join the Big 12 in a year, I just don't see them competing for conference, bragging rights just simply because it's just, to me, it's not a successful approach when you're the head of a team. So I think they're the most disappointing team this year.
I am in the same boat when it comes to disappointment. I think Colorado is going to – I think they might start hot. We talked about this last time Jay was on the show, actually, where like their record starting looks amazing because they play a bunch of shitbox teams besides TCU. But we're all shitting on TCU. They still have I believe 19 returning starters or 17 or something. It's not a bad team. They lose their head coach, and they still have a 4-star or 3.5-star recruit at quarterback to replace Max Duggan. And that's just the start of it. There's a lot of what-if possibilities. And Mason, you said it perfectly. It's a paper roster. It's like drafting. It's not like Madden Ultimate Team where you draft a team and it'll mesh together. Like, you have a bunch of dudes who are changing from the speed of, like, the Sun Belt Conference to Pac-12. Listen, I'm not saying Pac-12 football is the SEC, but there's definitely a jump difference. And on top of that, a lot of these dudes have never played a level of football. Like, when they have to go and play Utah or go and play UFC, it's a difference. It's a different game. So, to me, I look at Colorado. They're going to be a 6-5, 7-8. I mean, a 7-5, 6-6 kind of team. But the way some people, that's the ceiling. The way some of these people are talking, that they're going to be like 9-5, 9-3, 8-4 kind of roster making a bowl game. I think they're going to sneak backdoor into a bowl game this year. I think next year they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the Big 12. But this year they're going to have to take some lumps because it's a lot of adjustments. But my shit team my surprise team in the Pac-12 is actually still Oregon State as well. I am a big fan of the acquisition of DJU. Kevin knows how much I used to shit on this dude at Clemson. I think at the end of the day, though, his changing of pace and scenery is the biggest difference. I was shitting on DJ until I saw Cade Klubnik shit the bed against Tennessee. And I'm like, okay, so Clemson's offense is kind of booty if you're not Deshaun Watson or Trevor Lawrence. Or even Kelly Bryant, for that matter. But I regress. I think OSU is going to be that fun team this year. I think they're going to win a lot of games. I still think it's going to go USC, Oregon, and Utah are the big three up top. But I think Oregon State's that Civil War going to be fucking electric. I think that's going to be one of the best college football games of the year this year. So, that's it. Big 12 to close it out. We'll start with the two Sooners, and we'll work our way around counterclockwise here. Jay, we'll start with you. Big 12, your last hurrah for the maroon and white. What you got?
Yeah, the last hurrah for this crimson and cream, baby. And I'm going to say that the Big 12 winner is Oklahoma. We're going to go ahead and pull this bad boy out. I'm going to be a homer on this one. No, and I only say that because when you look at Vegas' setup, they have Oklahoma and Texas both at 9.5 wins. The over-under is set at that. That's obviously a trap. Texas won 8 games last year, so people are going to take the over. They think they're going to improve. Oklahoma won 6 games last year, so everybody's going to hammer that under. That's what Vegas wants you to do, because they know that if you take all of that under, you're going to be paying for a new casino to be built in the south part of the Strip. So they're not dumb. They know the game. They're playing everybody. That is a trap. So that tells me Oklahoma's probably going to win 10 or 11, and either one of those two numbers puts them in the conference championship. I anticipate they'll play Texas, and it'll be probably a rematch from the Red River. So I think Texas wins the Red River. It'll be the first time they've won 2 in a row in a couple years. Well, in about 8 or 9 years, actually. So since they won a national championship, they'll win the regular season game. Sooners get redemption in the conference championship. So I say Oklahoma wins it. Your disappointing team is going to be TCU. They had a bunch of super seniors on that team last year, which is why they were so good. Go look at Oklahoma State 2 years ago. That defense was a top 8 defense in the country. Why? They were full of super seniors, basically a bunch of COVID players. And so if you have a whole bunch of dudes that's in their 6th and 7th year in college football, they're going to know what the hell they're doing, especially in the system. And so TCU had that last year. That's how they caught lightning in a bottle. Oklahoma was one of the most active ones in the transfer portal this past year. I think that they can go out there and do what TCU did, but I think TCU is the one that falters down. They're going to be the biggest disappointment. Your surprise, Texas Tech. They may win 10 games this year, and it won't be too much of a shocker for me. McGuire is doing some stuff there, man, and they are building a sustainable monster there in Lubbock to the point of they're going to try to really force hands in the Big 12 or Big whatever they're going to be called to really compete with them. So OU wins it. TCU is the falter, and then I think that Tech is your surprise.
So, Jay, I don't know if you saw my cheat sheet before, because TCU Tech was my surprise as well.
You know ball. That's all it is. You should know ball.
Yeah, well, listen, let's not go too far. College football, Kevin knows this is more than anybody. My college football knowledge is hit or miss. But I always like taking surprise teams as teams that finish the season hot. I loved watching Texas Tech towards the end of that season. They were fun as fuck to watch. I'll go quick because I'm already halfway into my explanation. My shit team is Texas. I think horns down. I think Quinn Ewers in the second year, it's going to be a little weird. I think there's going to be a lot of just odd stuff. They're not going to really hit that national hype they're supposed to. And that leads me into my winner, Crimson and Cream. Man, that works so well. I love how that sounds. Oklahoma is going to win this conference. I think it's going to be a slugfest between them and Texas. I think Texas is going to be a 3 or 4 loss team, where Oklahoma's going to be a 2-loss team. Oklahoma won't make the national, the playoff, but they are going to be that best bowl team. So give me the Sooners winning that one. Mace, I'll go back to you. I'm sorry for cutting you off as the other Sooner in this conference. What do you got for me? Tell me why Oklahoma wouldn't win.
Well, funny enough, I have the exact same 3 as Jay here. So I have different reasons why, so I'll just go through them real quick. But yeah, so I feel like OU, look, there are expectations on OU, but I think everybody would be perfectly content if the Sooners won 9 or 10 games this year. If you come off a 500 record, in the regular season, 6-7 after the bowl, very rare for OU, right? It was a transition year where the roster got gutted in the portal with guys graduating, going to the draft, losing Riley, losing a lot of other key pieces within the staff. Look, this is the second time around with this group. They've added transfers. They've had freshmen come in who are going to impact. They've got freshmen who are now sophomores who are going to impact. And I think conversely, for Texas, this is all or nothing. I truly feel like in Austin, the expectations are make the playoff and win a game or blow the whole thing up. And I think when they lose to Alabama week 2 or 3 or whatever that is, it's going to have a domino effect where everybody's confidence on that team is shattered. Ewers is going to have a terrible day. And everybody's going to be uncertain whether or not the game plan and the approach is going to work. And they're going to feel like, oh no, here we go again. Really highly kind of boasted and bragged about all summer long. And then the regular season gets here and, we're going into conference play 2-1. And look, quite frankly, they've got a way more difficult schedule than OU. They've got to play K-State. They've got to play Texas Tech. They have to play OU. OU's probably, I would say their toughest conference opponent is, I think, maybe Cincinnati. I would say Cincinnati. I think, and so that kind of leads me into who I think will be the most disappointing. That's TCU. And let me correct myself. Outside of Texas for OU, Cincinnati is going to be their toughest.
Yeah, I just took the big lump of coal there, man. Like you're going with the chip shot. Come on, Mace.
But anyway, so TCU going to be disappointing. Look, they beat all of the sort of assumptions last year. I don't think anybody saw the run that they went on coming prior to last season, right? And they had a lot of guys stick around. They had a lot of just sort of cohesion within that roster, even though they had a first-year coach in Sonny Dykes. That roster was really well put together. Everybody had that link up. Everybody knew what everyone's tendencies were. And so I think it just kind of worked out well. A lot of things went their way, as we saw, particularly in that Michigan game. And they found themselves in a national championship. So I think that this year they're probably going to lose 4 or 5 games, including the one to OU at the end of the season. And I don't think it's going to be particularly close. And I feel like it's going to be a moment where they're brought back down to earth. I think TCU feels like the momentum coming off that national championship runner-up run is going to kind of excel them into being the top dog in the Big 12 when OU and Texas leaves. And I just don't see that being the case. And so that leads me into my kind of sleeper or team that's going to exceed expectations, and I think that's Tech. I think there really are no expectations at Texas Tech. I think it's a school that doesn't really have an identity. It's West Texas. It's Lubbock. If you've never been out there, it's an oil and gas town that's 30 minutes away from Midland, and there's nothing out there. And so Joey McGuire has come in and made the alumni, made the players, made recruits feel like they can be a part of something special where, not much is expected, but, you can be some of the first players to kind of make that change, right, and turn this program around and give it a name. And so it's interesting what he's doing out there. I think Texas, I think Sarkisian, the year kind of comes to a close with Sarkisian being fired and a lot of guys hitting the portal and being uncertain about Arch Manning staying there or not. And I mean, this is just kind of how it goes with Texas, who for those of y'all who are new, this is how it typically goes. So
fair. All right, Deej.
So I think Texas is going to win. Oklahoma's going to be the surprise. As the third OU fan on here that nobody ever recognizes, just saying. Everyone always ignores the third guy over here. But I think they're going to be
like Sooners right now.
You never asked. It's just always been there, though. But I think they're going to be the surprise. I think they're going to be right in the mix of it. I think Texas just a little bit more horsepower. Disappointment, TCU, same reason everybody says last year's lightning in a bottle, and they lost a lot of key players. So I'm going to go with Texas winning, Oklahoma surprising, TCU disappointing.
All right, Matt, rapid fire, and then we'll get to Kev for the final, and then we'll talk a little Heisman and get out of here.
Short and sweet and to the point. I have Oklahoma winning the division. I have Cincinnati as a surprise team solely because they have given me Sauce Gardner, and you can guess who my disappointing team is going to be. It's BYU because of what they have given me.
There's a lot of Jet slander in this fucking. Oh my god, Matt! Even though how good he's been playing on Hard Knocks, come on, you can't give him any credit.
I'm not going to take a 35-yard run and no passing touchdowns as hope just yet. But I'll finish it off with the division is just lucky that UConn is not in it because they are coming for you, and that is very sarcastic.
All right, Kev, finish us off strong here.
Texas is going to win. They almost beat Alabama with a one-legged Hudson Card last year. That told me everything I needed to know about where Sark has this team at. Arch Manning's an overrated, probably the most overrated.
He has a 2-star name on a 3-star talent.
You mix that up. It's a 3-star talent on a 5-star name. But
that's what I meant. The name has 2 stars.
But Quinn Ewers is good. Alabama would have lost if he had played that whole game. There's no doubt about it. And people are going to point out Bijan going to the draft, playing Atlanta. They almost beat Alabama with Bijan rushing 21 times for 57 yards. This team is legitimate. I think Houston's going to be surprising. I think with Dana at the helm, they've always kind of been sneaking around the last couple of years. 4 years ago, they weren't great. 3 years ago, COVID year, they weren't good. Last 2 years, they've looked like a competent team. I think they're going to look very competent. I feel like people are counting out the expansion programs a lot. I think Houston, Cincinnati, I think they're all going to be good, but I'm just picking Houston randomly. And I think Oklahoma is going to be the disappointment with Brent Venables sucking and fucking his way through the schedule or whatever the hell he said at the 2022 media days. I don't trust him. I don't know if he can be a competent coach at the D1 level. He can be a great coordinator. Not sure about head coach. So
I keep forgetting Houston is one of those teams that got added. But hey, listen, you're going for it. I mean, honestly, Texas to me, I want to see them finish. That's my biggest knock on them is I always see so much promise, and then they're just.
Sarkisian has no X factor, dude. This is what I feel like a lot of rival fans kind of see. What does this dude have that, brings him closer to guys like Kirby Smart, Jim Harbaugh, Nick Saban?
Nothing.
Guys who know how to win. Nothing. He has nothing. He knows how to raid the portal like Lincoln Riley.
Something like that?
What's that?
Who in the Big 12 has something like that?
I mean, I guess that is a fair point, but I feel like Texas is viewing themselves as national championship contenders, and they think they can make a run in the playoff. And I think it's realistic to say that Texas can win the conference. They should. I think with this roster, they absolutely should. But no way are they in the same conversation as Bama, Michigan, Ohio State, USC. No chance.
I wouldn't be surprised if Texas wins the Big 12 and then they don't have a college football playoff. team.
I think Texas could win the conference with 2 losses. I think that's very realistic. I think they're going to lose to Bama, and I think they drop another shitty game somewhere else.
They're gonna drop that one game. You're like, how the fuck? Like everyone's gonna lose some money on that game, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, because they always do. I mean, and the same's happened to OU when they've had these
Kansas.
Right.
Kansas is gonna beat Texas.
That would be great. I'd love that.
That'd be the third time in 4 years.
They just go out like that. That'd be amazing.
Not to jump the gun on the next division, but with the NE10, I'm going with Southern Connecticut State University as the favorites. Assumption as the most disappointing team, and American International will be the surprise.
And UNH will go winless.
I give Southern the over on the 1.5 games on the season.
Our alma mater coming in strong. We were too poor to go to our schools we wanted to, so we went to Southern. All right.
No, that is facts. I was going to go to UHart, and I couldn't afford it even with the scholarship.
LSU I didn't get my app in time in, so fuck it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk anything else. So listen now, the boys, in the spirit of the great segment that passed away about 2 seasons ago called Last Call, we're going to – everyone here has a shot. If they have a topic they want to bring up, and now you don't have to say shit. If you got nothing, you don't got anything. If you have a college football story you think we didn't cover today that you want to talk about, the floor is yours.
Oh, that was nice timing. The little beep.
Yeah, right. Hey, also, I want to send off quick our man Jay. Jay, where can we find your amazing content?
Search me on YouTube, Unfair Sports, talking college football and a lot of OU football. I got to run and be a parent, take my kid to practice, but y'all be good.
All right, man. You look out for Jay Smith. He'll be stopping by the show multiple times this off season. All right. And I don't know, if Chris the intern wants to stop by, he's welcome to hop in the stream at this point. But listen, Kev, DJ, Mace, Matt, you guys got any college takes that were not brought up on the show yet?
Well, we're talking Heisman in a little bit, right?
Heisman winners, disappointments, people that didn't talk. Listen,
I got a good one if you don't, Matt.
I'm gonna. There he is. I love the name, Chris the intern.
You're right.
My one topic, if I could think of anything, I'm just gonna go off and say that I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is gonna be the Heisman winner of 2023.
Ooh, I like it.
I like that, Matt. I can absolutely get behind that.
I think we're going to have a running back winner this year. I don't know who. I don't know where. It's some guy out of nowhere rushing for 3,000 yards. I don't fucking know. But we're going to have it this year. It's something feels like a running back's going to win the Heisman this year. Maybe Blake Crum up in fucking Michigan. I don't know. But
all right, my take is I think Notre Dame wins 11 games. And I know you two top chumps are going to hate that. But look at their schedule and tell me who's a loss besides SC. Tell me.
Sam Hartman's going to be good for them, too. I can agree with that one. I think Sam Hartman's going to win.
Thank you, DJ. Because, look, Indy, this year, it's a weak schedule. I'll say that. But, look, man. Okay, wait. Are they playing Ohio State? Okay, they are playing Ohio State. So I retract that statement. 10 games. 10 games. They're going to drop to Ohio State. They're going to lose to SC. But they're going to beat Clemson. And they're going to win the rest of their games. I think Clemson is probably like you, Jared. I think they've got a ceiling. And the ACC sucks, man. They can get into the championship game with 2 losses. We all know that.
Yeah, it's let's be honest. The championship game is going to be either some combination of North Carolina, Miami, Florida State, or Clemson. One of those 4. It's going to be some combo of those 4 schools. So let's not act like.
And I'll tell you what, man. Look. I didn't realize it was this tough, but Ohio State, Clemson, and USC on the same schedule, that ain't easy.
I will give Notre Dame credit, man. They actually tried to schedule some guys. Chris, I want to hear your take. You've been quiet, sitting in the background, kind of fact-checking this entire time. Were any of us completely off base in your opinion? I know college football is not your forte, but I feel like as a football fan in general, you've got to have something about what we all were saying.
I'll tell you what, though, like probably my favorite take, I mean, it's been pretty collective, but LSU winning the national championship. Go Tigers. Come on now. That's my team.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, I figure as a Temple grad, you'd be like at least rooting for your Owls a little bit. But
I am, dude. It's like weird, dude.
What
like,
Owls?
As soon as I got into Temple, dude, they're just really bad at football. So I'm like,
I mean, listen, I got to watch one Temple game live, and I got to watch Hassan Reddick sack UConn's quarterback 4 times in a quarter. And now the guy plays for our Eagles, which is great.
Yeah, he's in Philly green now.
Yeah, the Philly native playing for his boys. Kev, you've been a little quiet the last couple minutes. You got anything else you want to rip on the show before we get out of here?
Notre Dame needs to join a fucking conference already.
Thank you.
They schedule difficult.
Finally.
They schedule difficult, and if you don't agree with that, take that take and shove it up your ass.
I am, but it's not giving me any support, man.
Their schedule.
They have 3 teams that are ranked preseason top 10 on the schedule. How many teams can you say that for? Like they're playing like
this is the first time I've done that in like half a decade.
I'm gonna have to pull out this schedule, Jared.
They don't do it.
Last
This
year
is
and the
like
year
an
before.
anomaly for them.
Yeah,
No.
like literally, their schedule.
SC and Clemson last year, they played them both.
Okay, they pulled out
All right,
2.
22. I'm pulling it up right now, and they played Ohio State week 1. So suck that. They schedule difficult, man. Like everybody. They had NC
but then they
on
play
the
military
schedule
academy,
last
so
year.
it's a guaranteed 7 fucking wins. Have like
It doesn't
UConn
make it
fucking
like everyone gets pissed
Buffalo.
because they don't play conference championship weekend. It's like, all right, well, you schedule 3 teams inside the top 10 and play them. Fine.
Mace, you're trying. It's like trying to get me to vote Democrat. It's not gonna fucking work, man. I'll never root for
I'm just
Notre
stating
Dame.
the facts here, dude. I'm just stating the facts.
Listen, Notre Dame is like the movie Rudy. They're both shit.
Come on, Matt.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Also-
you might
also-
think they're shit, but look, respect the scheduling. Respect the scheduling. Look, when they go to the ACC, it's going to be weaker. It's literally, they're going to play a weaker schedule than they do right now.
That's if the ACC doesn't start getting better, because they're kind of stuck until 2028 now, so they got no choice to get better. I feel like the only thing is like the ACC. The problem is that contract is airtight. Apparently, FSU, Miami, Clemson, North Carolina State, Duke, and North Carolina have all tried to get out of this fucking conference, and they're stuck until 2028. So I have a theory, and it's hilarious because it's probably not going to happen, but they actually might try to get better because their only chance of staying relevant with these super conferences is getting better. So I don't know how this is going to – that's the only way to go up is to improve. I don't know. The ACC is a fucking shitbox. ESPN's fucking the ACC. It's all good. I also think fuck Notre Dame. They pulled out of that 1-1 with us after we fucking stomped them on national television.
Don't sleep on.
I get a very soft spot for ND, man.
I fucking hate those.
That's
bastards.
the worst thing. Notre Dame's
Exactly.
not a soft spot for.
They're awesome, man. I've been to some games up there. It's great. Like it is
Notre
a great
Dame
experience.
is a historically overrated program with great marketing. That's what they are.
I don't know
Yes.
how you can say
We had
that.
this conversation on Tailgate
I
last
don't
time I was on.
understand
It's
how
great.
you can make like Kevin. It is so outrageous to say that Texas is a bigger deal than Notre Dame. That is insane.
When did I say that?
You said that last week on this show. You said that Texas was more of a blue blood than Notre Dame and Michigan. That is
now-
outrageous.
Yeah,
Now,
brand
yes.
and blue blood are different. Blue blood is the
Yeah,
status
So
of the actual program.
Blue blood is talking about all-time relevance, not the last 20 years, not the last 50 years, all time.
I think it's foolhardy to say once you're a blue blood, once you're always a blue blood. Yale's not a blue blood. Princeton's not a blue blood. They're
They never
two of the
were.
most.
They never were.
They are two of the most successful college football programs ever. The
I don't
University
give a
of
shit
Chicago.
about win percentage or irrelevant national championships that happened before World War I. I don't
Okay,
care.
so what's
So we
the
can
cutoff
throw out
then?
Michigan's natties. We can throw out Michigan's natties then.
Okay, so when is the cutoff for when national championships start mattering?
I'd say
For modern-
post World War II.
Post World War II,
Yes.
I think that wipes out like. How many does Notre Dame have? Because I think
They've
they
got
only
11.
have like.
Notre Dame's got 11.
I feel like they only have like 3 since World War II.
I'm going to look, and then we're going to compare it to Texas. So when was World War II? We'll just say
Oh
66.
my!
40s?
When was World War II?
And then
1930,
All right.
1939
Yes,
to 1945.
here.
Come
Can
on.
we get that?
Okay. All right. So Notre Dame has
Jesus.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 national championships since
Where are
World
you
War
getting
II.
8? Where are you getting 8?
So, okay. 40. We said, Matt, what did you say, 42 or 43?
Neither. It was
1945 is when World War II
1939 to 1945.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got 46,
Jesus Christmas.
47,
Fucking Zoomers.
49, 66, 73, 77, 88. Now let's go look at Texas.
Oh my god.
Like, dude, I have no sympathy for anyone that thinks that Texas is literally like anything in the college football world. Like, nothing at all.
Chris, I love how every time you get on, it seems like the chaos bomb gets fucking nuked in this fucking show.
All right, 4, Kevin. 4 to fucking 7. Like, no fucking way. How many?
Dude, I'm
Heisman
for the
teams-
mayhem.
How many?
We're stuck on.
How about all American? Like, let's
after,
fucking
it's like
compare
you're drinking secretly during the show.
But the problem is, we're touting fucking Cold War era accomplishments.
What do you
Segregation
want?
football.
Okay, so all right, let's throw out everything pre. Okay, so these are when Texas's 4 national championships are: 63, 69, 70, 05. So they went on a 35-year gap, Kevin. 35-year gap between national championships.
What the fuck is that you're drinking out of?
And what is Notre Dame currently on?
God, it's like a 3-gallon water jug.
What do you mean, Kevin?
It's a half a gallon.
You're talking about a 35-year gap between national championships. That's what Notre Dame's at right now.
So
They have
Notre
not won
Dame
in
is at
35 years.
that would be
35 years.
34 or 35.
1988, 2023. That is 35.
Yeah, 35. All right.
So, and the fact that at least one of Texas's came after the Berlin Wall fell.
Can you name me when that year was?
I
Not you,
that
Kevin.
you do?
To Mason.
No, I don't know this shit, man. No. I'm in finance, man. I'm not in American history. All right. Cut me some slack here.
Could you name me the war that went on when you mentioned 1969 and 1975? Oh my
Matt,
God! Please,
Come
please.
on, dude.
God, Vietnam.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
My point being, look, Texas played in the greatest national championship game of all time. I will give you that. That is their claim to fame. That game was awesome. Everyone remembers that game. That will probably be the greatest natty for a long time. But to say that they are on the same level as Michigan and Notre Dame is ludicrous. Absolutely absurd. I can't fathom that. I can't. I can't do it, man. Like,
right.
I can't.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm more concerned about your brain now than your ability to fathom things. You don't know when World War II was. You don't know
we
when
can go down the
Vietnam
list of
was.
Heismans. We can go down All
I think
Americans.
Mason's brain ignores world events and just sticks to straight football.
Yeah.
Again, we're going back to if we're gonna look at Heisman's and national champions from before we were all born, we're going back to the Yale thing, the Princeton thing, the Harvard thing.
But it's like so I don't understand what the criteria is. Last 20 years?
I'd say
there's
2000.
it's
Because
sustained
even-
success in the modern era.
Because the other thing too, Kevin, is how many playoff games has the University of Texas played in? Zero.
What's
Like-
worse? Is it worse to not play in a playoff game or to lose a playoff game by 30?
To make the playoffs and get your ass blown out. Like, literally. 100%. Because if you haven't made the playoff, you are chirping from outside of the club. You are talking about something that you don't even have any business being in.
Fair.
Like, you can't make the case that I'm more relevant than you, but you have never played in a college football playoff game. Even though, that's the case with my Sooners, right? The Sooners have gotten blown out every single game except for one, but it's like people who want to say they're more relevant than OU in the playoff era, it makes no sense because it's like you have not made a playoff.
Is Washington more relevant than Texas?
All time? That's a hard one.
Are they more relevant than Texas?
Right? When? Right now? All time?
What? It's August 24th, 2023.
Well, I'm trying to think about the parameters here.
Whatever parameters you want.
I think I think Texas is more relevant.
Okay. Washington has made the college football playoff.
Okay.
Is Michigan State more relevant than Texas?
I would say no.
They've also made the college football playoff.
But yes, I'm well aware. But it's just like if
they've also both made it as many times
here.
as Notre Dame.
What do you say?
They've made it as many times as Notre Dame.
I thought Notre Dame's made it 2 or 3 times. Hasn't Michigan State made it once?
2 max.
Yeah, so Notre Dame got beat by Bama in the COVID year, and then I believe they made it the year before that.
2018, 2 years before.
Okay.
I forgot the 2018 one.
So 2-1. I mean, like, look, all I'm saying is that Texas has very limited success. And you're talking about 2 programs that are as historic as it gets in almost every single category, and they've had success forever. Texas has had success since the 60s.
Yeah,
all right.
Before we were all born.
Let's roll. All right, listen, folks. Shout out to our boy Kev for coming through tonight. Kev, where can we find your amazing content?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at BellyUpKev, and you can find Tailgate in the Quad at Quad Tailgate everywhere.
DJ, where can we find you and Kelsey's amazing content?
Everywhere at High Low Sports Podcast, YouTube, Twitter, everything you want. Go subscribe to YouTube. It's been popping, and go check out our preseason NFL predictions and going by divisions.
Our resident Jet fan, where can we find all of our shit?
You can find all of us on all major socials at Korner Booth Pod on pretty much just about every single thing you could think of.
And you can find me at Belly Up Jared or Korner Booth Jared, depending on the week. Matt is at Big Wisp on Twitter, and Mason is Korner Booth MR. We will see you guys next Thursday for our big main event football preview. We will also be debuting the 6-pack next week, which will be a nice, handsome return. Week 0 of the 6-pack kicks off. Matt tries to defend his title. So the 4 of us will. So the rules this year, as we're saying right now, are the 4 of us will all pitch in. The three losers will pitch in for a jersey for the winner. As in last year, I took it on the shins myself, and Matt, being the gracious winner that he was, found a jersey for $46 off of Wish or something. So
it fits. Fuck it.
It fits. It's a soft starter jersey.
It says number 1 on the back, and it has his name spelled correctly, so that's all I care about.
Yeah, you know what? That's a win right there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you stopping by. Shout out to our amazing sponsors, Canada Dips, Mauler Bros, Seat Geek, Yeats, and Belly Up Media. We will see you guys on Monday for our first actual episode of the season, which is going to be live, as is tradition. Frank Michael Smith of TikTok and YouTube fan will be joining us talking some NFL ball, as part 1 of our 3-part NFL preview is next Monday. Enjoy yourselves. I will see you guys then, and have a great weekend. Peace.